Broads Media.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. I haven't stopped thinking about that Game 5 win since I woke up this morning. It was so damn solid, and I loved everything about how this team went into that game knowing they would return to Philadelphia up 3-2. There's no doubt about it. Listen to me right now. There's a 1,000% chance that we are going to play at the Wells Fargo Center with a chance to close the series out. And they backed it up. But it's also baffling that the Boston Celtics just no-showed. Nobody decided to walk into the arena with fights. Jason Tatum had 36 points. He took a billion shots for those points. He was minus 26 or minus 28. That's literally impossible. They have an issue with Jason Tatum to start off games. If you're going to dig yourself into a hole, it's hard to get out of it. And when your best players can't shoot the basketball, you're in trouble. Credit to Tobias Harris. Credit the Sixers. But at some point, if he doesn't step the hell up, the Celtics have no chance. Because they won't win games without him or Jason Tatum doing something. Or Jaylen Brown. Excuse me. What probably happened is they took the Sixers lightly, thinking we will walk all over them. We already win the mental battle. We think they suck. The matchup causes them issues. This is the Boston Celtics speaking when they assess their second round matchup. Oh, by the way, we were just in the NBA Finals. Let's not overthink things. We'll be okay. Just roll the basketball on the floor and we'll advance to the third round, where we thought we'd see the Milwaukee Bucks. But now our path just gets that much easier. This is them convincing themselves they didn't have to work and that Joel Embiid, as great as he is, would never beat them. Well, I hate to break the news to you. One team's playing determined, and the other team has a head coach saying, well, we had the intent to work hard. Excuse me. You had the intent to work hard? The fuck does that mean? You could say that about anything. If I mess up, and if I don't do a good enough job cleaning the gutters, and then my gutters get filled with water, and then my basement floods, not that I'm speaking out of experience here, not that this just recently happened and I had to get a shop vac and vacuum my entire basement floor, and then rip out the carpets, and then get ourselves some throw rugs instead of the carpet, and then they end up getting destroyed, and then I had to throw them out, and now my couch is all over the place, and we're trying to figure out what to do next. No. Not that that really happened in real life by any stretch of the imagination. But if my intent was to clean them well, and I didn't clean them well enough, and my basement floods. If your intent was to play with more effort, but you sucked, what does that mean? See, it's not as if the Boston Celtics can hold their hat on the fact that they feel that style of play will work 9 out of 10 times. So if we stick to this game plan and we play this way again, we'll be all right. Because sometimes that happens. You can play a great game of hockey and outshoot the opponent 37-14, but you lose. You know, though, if you did that again 2 days from now, you'll win the hockey game, and that style will benefit you. Well, the Celtics, if they do that again, the Sixers blow them out, but this time instead of booze being poured out, it's all celebration. It's confetti, and this time it's actually pressed at the right time. No Marco Bellinelli, Ersan Ilyasova garbage when you think of that year. The way the Sixers did this, though, stylistically, goes a long way. Now, I can't rule out Tyrese Maxey balling out. 30 points is outrageous, but if he gives you a strong 22, the reason why I was so down on it is because I've never seen it before. Once I see something, for example, James Harden. Okay, so he gives you 45 points. Track record after that on short rest, because remember, they had a while off. They swept the Brooklyn Nets, and Boston had to go toe-to-toe with the Atlanta Hawks for 6. By far the better basketball team, but Atlanta hung around. And that's a common trend with the Celtics. They allow teams to hang around. The difference is the Sixers have way more talent than Atlanta and a way hungrier group of superstars to shut the rest of the NBA world up that they will make you pay. The style that the Sixers did this with, and Tyrese Maxey and James Harden, there you go. I knew none of those seemed right. I lost my train of thought. With James Harden, after 45, I don't know, man. But once he gave you 40 plus again, now I can't rule out anything because I saw it. The age, getting tired, logging in a bunch of minutes, that was legitimate concern to wonder with such short rest in between games if James can do it on multiple occasions. Now that he's won you 2 games, I can't rule out 3. Can't rule out 4. Not that Joel Embiid didn't have an impact in those other outings, because of course he did. The game that they won in overtime, there was so much good the Sixers did that we somewhat throw the good away because they had a lead and the Celtics had a shot to win it, but Marcus Smart misses. And they had a chance at the end of the game in overtime, but he just got the ball off too late. Somehow, fans left negative, but realizing the win was important. A win is a win is a win is a win is a win. I think that was also mixed in with, well, I hated it, but at least they tied the series up, leaving out a ton of the details that the Sixers were in control for a majority of that game. They were doing things that were extremely successful. So speaking of that, we know the 2-man game allowed for the Sixers to really go into cruise control offensively. When we interviewed Keith Pompey today, towards the tail end of the interview, I asked him about Joe Mazzulla and what can Joe Mazzulla do with the 2-man game defensively to try and stop the Sixers. And I thought his remark was awesome. Forget the Celtics. It's not about them. The 76ers have their hands right there. It's right there. It's in reach. If the Sixers control their controllables, that's what's going to make this happen. Forget Boston, forget strategy, forget this. And he's totally right. Also, put this into the equation. It's game 6. Normally by now, there's not much more you can do strategically. You've pretty much, especially when it's 2-2, that means each coach had their respected counter a couple times. So they've had multiple different situations to go back to the tape, go back to the film, and study what the opponent was doing to draw up something. Well, you're going to start with your strongest strategies. At some point at Game 6, you've pretty much seen all of the punches. And the Sixers have clearly been able to eat their punches. Imagine being in the UFC octagon and someone hits you good, square in the nose, right there, square in the middle of the eyes. and you just shake it off. Poor little Taylor Swift. That was so bad. That was probably one of my worst strokes ever. But as an athlete and as an MMA fighter, when you take it, oh, dude. All right, well, I know I just took their best shots. Now let's go to war. That's where I think the Sixers are right now. Their best waves, when they crash, I'm picturing an ocean. You can absorb the crash. Trust me, I've taken a shot to the nose. You drop pretty quickly. Not that my only junior hockey fight, I ended up going, dropping the mitts, grabbing the shoulder pads, took a swing, completely missed, and then felt this scenario happen. Not that that was how my first hockey fight went. This isn't going well anymore. Keith Pompey was right. What we need to do is realize the Sixers' goal, it'll all be squared away, and we'd be moving on as long as the Sixers execute in a similar style. I'm not talking the same amount of points. Everyone had the same amount of points as they did in Game 5 because I think that's unfair. How about this, though? Embiid gets his wide-open mid-range jumpers. He cashes them in. Harden facilitates. It's funny, as I'm laying out some of the players and what they did, we put up a Twitter poll today. And there's really no wrong answer. But who impressed you most last night was the question. There was 4 options. Got about 1,000 votes. Joel Embiid, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, and House. Tyrese Maxey won with 51% of the votes. That makes sense to me. I never saw in my life Tyrese Maxey abuse Boston. He gave you 30. He silenced the crowd. He gave you a shush. There weren't many times for Boston fans to believe. The shot was massive and pretty much took it away instantly. Every push Boston had, Doc either called a timeout or the Sixers dialed up a play to have the response. So all of it was fake. The boost and the possible momentum swing. It was all fake. There was never a real pulse to it because of how the Sixers answered. But after Tyrese, Joel Embiid came in second with 24% of the votes. Here's why I think Joel Embiid might be the least likely to win in my eyes. It should have been. It would have been my 4th pick. I'm not... okay, I am impressed with Embiid, but I guess he's the MVP. I know he does that. That's Joel Embiid. Not that it's not impressing. I'm always impressed. Is impressing? That felt so wrong. Everything about this show today is clearly so wrong. But with Joel Embiid, that's sort of the norm. I am impressed when I take a step back to recognize that those efforts are the norm, but that's the norm. So, unfortunately for Joel, sometimes we take it for granted, and I know that that bias would play a role in my voting. Danuel House got 23% of the votes. That's who I would have looked at. Come on, Danuel House. That was my selection. And then James Harden got 2%. The reason I wanted to bring up this poll is because as I was mentioning James Harden, I mean, we got to recognize how important he was to the two-man game. It's not a one-man game. It's a two-man game. And not only can he target the rim and attack the hoop, he's doing things that he doesn't traditionally do, which raises the bar and the expectations. Catch and shoot threes. Like, you won an NBA playoff game in 2023 with James Harden having a catch-and-shoot three to win it. He's pulling up from the mid-range. That makes the two-man game much more effective. I'm just stunned in disbelief that in Game 5, James Harden didn't impress people more. Because without him, you got nothing. While it was more enjoyable to see Maxey with the ball in his hands and to him operate offense, James Harden, he puts so much pressure on the opposing D. And I don't know if the Boston Celtics can have the answer when they seem this off the rails. I always think of the movie Mighty Ducks when talking about something like this. They're not pulling in the same direction. Once again, I'm a nerd and I'm a dope, so I went back and listened to the Celtics again post-game. I'm really trying to read their body language, read their messages, get a feel-out process to who the Boston Celtics are right now, and I see a fragile bunch. In the NBA, though, talent can overstep certain things and certain obstacles, and there being a beef in the room, talent wins. Kevin Durant being Kevin Durant can win. Devin Booker being Devin Booker can win. Some nights, put the damn ball in the hoop, and the rest doesn't matter because you go ball out. Underwhelming person this series so far in that department, Jason Tatum. So if he starts 0 for 5, 0 for 6, 0 for 7 again, good luck. The Celtics, though, they don't seem connected. And with Mighty Ducks, there was that scene where Gordon Bombay is coaching the team, and he has them all tied in a rope and says, skate, and blows on the whistle. And they all go wrong directions, and they fall within seconds. It's not until they start skating as one and moving all left, moving all right, then everything follows. It's not rocket science here. I feel like that could have been described without such a very generic description. I don't know. We had a long day today. And my Wi-Fi seems to be 1 bar right now. Okay, this is the day we're having. No, it's fine. No, don't worry about me. This is great. If I have to hit pause and do this all over again. No. I'm having the greatest time of my life. Hopefully, now it went away. Hopefully that only happened for about 40 seconds when I happened to glance. Please tell me. Oh, all right. Well, since I've lost total control of the steering wheel, let's listen to the phone calls and the phone lines from post-game. Let's do this.
21 gun salute, hip hip hooray, way to go 76ers. Gave the beat down to the Celtics. 1 game away from putting that curse you've been under with this team to bed. Way to go. Everybody played well. Even the bench showed up strong, consistent play. Joel Embiid swatting the balls away like he was swatting flies. They were scared to go to the hoop. They're shooting them threes and they're danking off, throwing air balls. You're so close, 76ers. I'm so proud of you. Way to go.
I'm so proud of them as well. A few things you noted that I'm so happy you did. Embiid with the block, that's a signature moment. That's what that is. That's winning basketball. That's I won a damn championship, and we're very close, and we can smell the Eastern Conference Finals. I won it badly. I won MVP. That's 1 step into my 2-step journey. I want to win the Larry O'Brien Trophy. These are the plays that are the difference in getting there. Teams who win, you look at their postseason highlight package, and it's chase down blocks after a turnover. Bad possession. You know how easy it is to trot on the other side after that? You have problems with the knee. You're a superstar. You can hang out and wait for your team to get the ball back at half court and then reestablish another possession. But no, Every 2 points matter. Every single field goal attempt matters. If you can get in their way and be a difference maker defensively, you have to be it no matter what the score, no matter what the time, because anything can happen. You could be down 12 points in the third quarter and make a huge push in the fourth. But let's say with about 2 minutes to go in the third, there's an easy bucket that the other team could go up 14. Instead, you block it. You keep it at 12, and then there's a quick transition. Maxey has a burst. He lays it up. It's 10. That 10 goes to 8. Now you're entering the fourth down 8, but it could have been 14. Joel Embiid will be there and is hungry to make sure it's the 8 going into the fourth instead. And really, you could say with the Sixers, because of how much they destroyed them, they kept it at 14 instead of allowing Boston to get it to 8 with that hypothetical I just laid out. But yes, his presence in the paint, his presence is absurd. Absurd. They're a team that bombs away anyway from 3. That's their identity. Just chuck up a bunch. They're a high-volume shooting team. So you're going to shy away from some 2s just because that's how they've won a lot of games. With that said, I heard some Boston fans bitching and complaining that if you know the 3s aren't working, why don't you try to establish anything else? Why don't you take it to the paint? Get guys into foul trouble. Try and target them to take blocking calls and reach in fouls. Here's Embiid, facing up Al Horford. He gets Al Horford to bite a bit. He puts his hands right in the cookie jar. He flails the arms, and then he's going to the line for an easy 2. Why don't we put the Sixers in struggling positions? Because the 3s weren't falling. Let me explain to you why. Joel Embiid, thank you for coming to my episode today and listening to my show. There's your answer. Because there's someone who eats up all of the space in the paint, and his name is Joel Embiid. So that's why. It's not just that. It's not solely that. They're looking for players who are sitting and camping out behind the arc. But he's a huge reason why they don't think about maybe going to the rack more. Jason Tatum stops his dribble and stops his dribble penetration because there's a huge individual ready to reject him. Let's go back to the phones.
Yo, bro, it's finally. It just felt like, bro, that the Sixers finally had a signature win against the Celtics. And it feels like they could really win this series against them. It really does. Embiid was phenomenal. Harden was great. The whole team was great, to be honest. Tobias was great for the most part. Maxey was great. I mean, it was just a great win. And go Sixers.
It was a great win, and the whole entire team was there for one another. And I know all year long I was saying they're different, let them get into the playoffs, but they are different. Remember, 12-12 start, Doc Rivers from that point on has changed everything about who they are. Just the way they approach the job and the way that they clearly are all super, super locked in and focused on one goal. You could really feel that. And that's why I'd be stunned if in Game 6 they laid an egg, because I just look at a prepared team that is not going to lose sight of the end goal. Sometimes it's just all about fit. It's all about belief. I bounce around sports talk radio cities because doing this for a job and doing this as a living, sometimes it's just too much. I talk about it here. I do it on 97.5. It's like, all right, for the last 8 hours, I've been speaking sports myself. I just want to remove myself from anything local and just listen to sports talk radio. So, plus I have a long drive to work. I'll bounce around. So I did some Boston just to hear what they're saying on their side of this series. And then I listened to Toronto. And the Toronto Maple Leafs fan base always really interests me because they're the Dallas Cowboys of hockey when it comes to, hatred around the world. If you are a hockey fan, you either love them or hate them. It's the Cowboys. You're either a Cowboys fan or you despise them. Toronto's the same thing, and they finally got out of the first round for the first time since '04, and now they're down 3-0. At the time of this recording, they're actually playing Game 4. I don't know where it's at the current moment, but regardless, they brought on Justin Williams, who is named Mr. Game 7, the guy who's just known to win in the postseason and score big goals in the NHL. And he overcame a 3-0 deficit before. And the question was, what is it like in the room when you're down 3-0 and you know you have to crawl back in? And this correlates with the Sixers. You have to look at everybody in the eye and feel that they all believe that this is actually going to happen. If there's one person, there's one weak link, everything's off. So, when you're looking at the person next to you, is that automatic, where you don't even have to question it? There's a nod, there's a look, that it's clear and obvious. Everyone knows that feeling. I've been in 2 locker rooms in my life where it was that strong. The connection was that deep. It was more than being a teammate. It was even more than wanting to win the trophy. It's even deeper than that. Your family at that point. To this day, from both of those teams, there's probably 15 teammates that I still reach out to and still speak to. Even if we go a few months without it, there'll always be that time where we check in on one another and see how everything's going. And kind of hear where the person is in life. The Sixers feel like they're on that level of what Justin Williams was describing. No bullshit. It's real. I don't know if I can fully say that about Boston. Whether it starts at the top with Joe Mazzulla or it's something with Tatum and Brown, I don't know. And sometimes it's a year-to-year thing. These runs are hard to make. So if you're wondering, well, how come Boston last season could go far and this year they get stopped in the second round? You start thinking you're better than you are. You take your opponent lightly. You lose that drive, even though getting there and losing, you would think it would hurt more. But you take it for granted. Like, come on, we were here last year. We'll get there again. Maybe not. Maybe not. It's a year-to-year thing with the chemistry, even if there's a lot of similar players on the team. Health. Maybe you don't believe your role is what your role is. You think you deserve better. So lots of this. Here we go. Another call.
Once again, Joel Embiid proving why he is the league MVP. Joel Embiid had a fantastic day today. Honestly, he had a really great game. You know, considering the fact that this game, we didn't have to sweat it out in the end. The Sixers were dominant from the beginning to the start. And here's another interesting statistic that I stumbled across from doing research. The Sixers have not won in Game 5 since 2003, which is crazy. So this win is huge. You know, it's a really big win. Not only that, you're going back to Philadelphia for the chance to go to the conference finals.
Oh, man, I just got the goosebumps. I just got the goosebumps. They're not letting us down. You hear me? They are not letting us down. They're playing with so much pride. The Celtics collapsed. They couldn't handle the pressure. Malcolm Brogdon let everyone know that it was a must-win game. They're aggravated. Well, if that's how it's going to look when you're aggravated, you got too tight. Well, if you got too tight, tells me nerves are involved. Why are there nerves? Because you're in a dogfight? A team that you thought you'd be able to spit in their face with disrespect? Because Boston did not feel the Sixers were a threat at all. And as you could tell, that was a mistake. That's why they're where they're at. They didn't feel that it would be a competition. They thought they would have easy wins. And once it was 2-2 back to Boston, 2-2. 2-2. Ah, damn. Tatum's missing everything. He's not afraid to let it fly after that. He'll take his shots, trust me. But scoring all those points didn't mean he had a good game. Some Celtics fans are trying to convince themselves that that's the case. Well, Tatum didn't play bad. Look at his numbers. I told you. His plus-minus is literally impossible to have scoring that many points. Al Horford will probably shoot better. I don't expect him to miss every shot. But the series changed the moment he decided to wiggle and to do the shimmy. Yeah? Shimmy your ass to the fucking golf course because the Sixers are going to get it done, and then we will figure out the Eastern Conference Finals at a later time. Thank you guys all so much. Appreciate it. You're the best. I love you. Catch you on the next one.